There's even more chatter about Auburn having the top wide receiver duo in the SEC, and that chatter is correct.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping it up with the Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend, on today's edition of the show. Tahad Pettiford, he's slipping in NBA mock drafts now that the draft order is solidified, and weirdly, that's good for Auburn. Another expert is high on the Auburn Tigers, having them in his top 15 of all teams in college football. But the best wide receiver duo in the SEC, I think they play for the Auburn Tigers. I think they play for Hugh Freeze with Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman, Darrell. And another expert kind of beating his chest with another list. We are in the heart of list season. But we saw Cam Coleman appear on a list higher than Eric Singleton, and I do think that's the first time I've seen that this offseason.
That's notable that he's higher than Singleton. The second aspect of that is, the list was put out by Jim Dunaways, who I like and respect. He's a veteran in this industry. But look, let's just be honest. There's a lot of Auburn people, and it warranted, that feels like he's a little bit of a Bama lean. More of a Bama follower. That's fine. Nothing wrong. We've got Taylor Corn, who's over the next round. That's an Auburn one. So it's fine. But I think that when you look at the fact that somebody that typically is more of a Bama lean respects Auburn's receiving core that much, to me, it just validates it even more. It solidifies it even more. This isn't me or you putting this list together, or Taylor or Kyle Rush or Lindsey. It's somebody who's followed Alabama for a long time. I think that I have no qualms with that list. I think it's very accurate, and I think it's very exciting, and just really the anticipation of having two guys in the top five like that from him, I think makes it credible.
Yeah, so for the list, and this is Jim Dunaways of the next round's top 5 SEC wide receivers. Ryan Williams at 1, of course, at Alabama. Cam Coleman at 2 from Auburn. Aaron Anderson at 3 from LSU. At 4, Ryan Wingo, the Texas wide receiver. And then Eric Singleton Jr. at 5, of course, the other receiver for the Auburn Tigers. Of course, Auburn, the only team with 2 players on that list. And I like that. I mean, so many of these lists that we've talked about with top wide receivers, where we see Eric Singleton in the top 5 or at 8th or whatever, it's all national stuff when it really doesn't matter. Like, the national stuff doesn't matter. That's not really going to impact Auburn winning games or not. It's how are you going to do against other guys from a roster to roster standpoint, a matchup standpoint, with guys with teams that you actually play. And so I do love that Jim's list is just SEC guys, because that really does put in perspective of like what we're actually dealing with. That is the world in which Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Jackson Arnold, the Auburn Tigers are actually operating in this season, unless you want to include a list of players that are in Waco that suit up for the Baylor Bears. That's all that matters from an Auburn point of view. And so I love that, and I don't have any issues with that list. I do think I would probably switch Singleton and Coleman just because of the proven factor. But at the end of the year, like, if you had to, I don't know, if you told me Cam Coleman was the second best receiver in the SEC, I'd be like, yeah, okay. I'm not surprised by that at all.
It's an example, though, of saying, okay, Eric Singleton, you did what you did in the ACC, which is weak and watered down. Let's see if you can do that same thing in the best conference in America. It's the only reason why I think he's lower than he is. And again, if you can make it in the SEC, you make it anywhere. And I think that the fact that it's an SEC list tells me any of those 5, if that's how the pecking order ends up, as far as, I don't know what the metrics are to rate a receiver besides yards and touchdowns, but if that happens and they end up in that particular order, Auburn's going to have a really special season. And on a national level, those numbers will be high too. So just more of the same, that it's becoming commonplace with the love and respect that this receiving room is getting.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course his co-host on the next round, Lance Taylor, we reacted to a list of his. He put Jackson Arnold at 6th, right, among SEC quarterbacks, which once again, doesn't matter where Jackson is nationally. It matters where he is in the conference against the teams that we're actually matching up against. Jim's list of putting Cam Coleman at 2 and Eric Singleton at 5. I'm not going to lie to you, Darrell, and we hinted at this when we talked about this last week. I'm a little surprised that most lists out there have Singleton higher than Cam Coleman. And that's no disrespect to Singleton at all. I think they're both elite, and I think they're both going to take a step forward from where they were last year to where they're going this year. But I am a little surprised, especially with the narrative and, I mean, I think the truth with inconsistencies of the offense. Cam Coleman prevailed in all of this. Cam Coleman missed time a year ago, and his numbers were still what they were. And he peaked at the end of the season. I mean, Auburn as a whole offensively, I think, got better over the course of the season. Just a starting point was way lower than we all wanted it to be. I'm just a little surprised that, with all of the love that these other freshmen are getting, Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith, they're exceptional. And right now, I would say they're both at a better spot than Cam Coleman is as far as development goes. But I just think, I don't think Cam Coleman should be talked about differently than those guys, and he is being talked about differently than those guys.
Very simple solution to that. All the guys that you mentioned that are really touting Eric Singleton are all national guys. The last time I looked, and the last time I grabbed my Chick-fil-A box in the Auburn press box, I didn't see any of those cats in the press box watching Auburn. I did see Jim Dunaway watching Auburn.
That's true.
Multiple times.
That's a great point.
So Dunaway has laid his eyeballs on Cam Coleman in person, not Eric Singleton in person. These guys have maybe watched Eric Singleton in person. I don't know. Maybe at the Georgia game they were there. Maybe not. But they haven't seen Cam Coleman up close because I'm telling you, they're not sharing the press box with me. So, in fact, Zach, the reason why we are being treated so graciously that I'm able to do a show from the press box with you after the game is because that's the National Writers Press Box, and it's vacant after the game. It's true. So that's why I'm able to do it. In national media, that's where they're supposed to sit. There's 8 chairs for them. I walk in there, and it's a ghost town. It's crickets. There's nobody in there. Yeah. So they haven't seen Cam Coleman. Dunaway has. If you see him, he impresses the crap out of you. You cannot help walking away going, wow. Now, I feel like I would get the same feeling and same, overall reaction watching Singleton live too. But that's the reason why the national guys, they're looking at stats.
I also think the national guys grab onto the PFF stuff because, I mean, Eric Singleton is a PFF darling. There's no question about it.
And he runs a 4.240. I think they grab onto that too.
Sure. There's a lot, but I mean, you could I don't know. There's so much excitement about both these guys, but I do think we forget how Cam Coleman finished the season. I mean, we're talking about a guy who was just shy of 600 yards receiving.
It's the exact reason, man, you're nailing it. It's the exact reason why Singleton's getting rated higher than Coleman because of the way he finished the season. Recency bias. Zach, a ton of people, national talking heads were watching Georgia. And what did Singleton do?
That game was incredible for Singleton.
He gained so much equity in that game.
Cam Coleman's last 3 games, it was like half of his production for the year. 100 yards against ULM, 8 receptions, and I believe he was targeted 8 times. I think he was targeted 8 and caught 8, if I remember correctly. Against Texas A&M, arguably, I don't even think it's arguable, the biggest win for Hugh Freeze as Auburn's head coach. Against Texas A&M in 4 overtime, 7 catches, 128 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns against ULM. And then a really solid Iron Bowl. 7 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown grab. I mean, he finished the season off with everything you wanted as far as checking the boxes of, is he developing and was the offense developing around him? The answer to that was yes. It just happened too late in the season than we would have liked. And so that continues the big question, like how much of that was him? How much of that was Hugh Freeze? How much of that was quarterback play and the scheme? We'll see. We'll get more of that as we go along. But all in all, just wrapping up Jim Dunaway's list of top 5 wide receivers: Ryan Williams, Cam Coleman, Aaron Anderson, Ryan Wingo, and Eric Singleton. I don't mind the list at all, Darrell. I don't mind the list at all. Speaking of national guys, another one has Auburn in their top 15. Get in line because the hype train for the Auburn Tigers is getting more and more full by the day. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel's America's #1 sports book right now, Darrell, with the NBA playoffs heating up, with MLB keeping on going as, it's about to be the only game in town about a month from now. But FanDuel, right now is a great time to join. If you get your first $5 bet, if you win it, you get $200 in bonus bets. Are you serious?
Summer money. I told you it's vacation money, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Let's go.
There you go. And obviously, we've talked about this line all the time. We'll continue to talk about it. Auburn's still sitting at 7.5. 7.5 wins. I was kind of wavering. I'm on the over now. I am on the over on that. So head over to FanDuel right now. It's the perfect time to sign up. FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet. You get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA and the Locked On Podcast Network. Darrell Dapprich, our guest on today's edition of Locked On Auburn. You and I texted each other right when this dropped. But our guy, Ari Wasserman, who I respect, I think he does a great job, with On3, put out his top 25, as is the thing to do these days. And he has Auburn as the 15th ranked team in college football. Other SEC teams of note: Texas at 2, LSU at 5, Georgia at 6, Alabama at 8, Florida at 11. Wow. South Carolina at 14. Wow. Oklahoma at 17, Ole Miss at 19, Tennessee at 24, and Texas A&M at 25. And as far as teams that Auburn will play, you're looking at Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. But Auburn at 15 there. So we've seen them as high as 13. And then there's been a few people that have left them off, but now multiple folks in the top 15.
I don't remember who's the last one that had us in the top 15. You can refresh my memory. It wasn't Staples. Who's the one after that had us pretty high, had Auburn pretty high?
That's the Staples one. I don't remember.
But the point being is that it seems to be synonymous with Florida. Like, I'll look at it and go, dang, Auburn's in the top 15. And then I'll look and Florida's like 12th or 13th. And I'm like, where's the credit? Is there a credibility question mark now that, he's got Auburn 15, great, but he's got Florida 12th? Is this something that we should really kind of take seriously? But then you look around and where he's at, and I think Illinois is a little too high on both of those too. That same poll that had Auburn 15 and Florida 13 had Illinois in the top 10. And I'm like, how?
But a lot of people are predicting Illinois to be this year's Indiana. So we'll see.
Great. Yeah. Woo. So yeah, I my point on this whole thing, bigger picture, is you tell me the last time, and I know preseason's lists don't mean squat. It's list season. It doesn't mean anything till you get on the field. It's fun to talk about. But when is the last time that 4 or 5 national publications had Auburn in the top 20? I can't remember. Maybe 2020, that last year that Gus was here.
I would say, I don't know, man. I would say like 2018 after the 2017 season.
Yeah.
We had a lot of buzz with Jarrett coming back and all that.
Yeah. So is it an indicator of what could happen? I just think that finally getting some positive talk and some things being stirred up is good. It's good for the program. It's good for recruiting, good for transfer portal stuff. But that many people feel like Auburn's going to have a top 20 season is really encouraging. Doesn't mean squat till they show it, but I'm saying it's been a long time since that buzz has been around an Auburn football program.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought up like the questioning the credibility of it, because I actually like this list the most of the ones that I've seen. And there's been a few where, like, I think Oklahoma should be ranked right now. I think Ole Miss should be ranked. I think Texas A&M should be ranked. Should Florida be 11? I don't know. But where everybody is stacking up on this, like Miami makes a ton of sense. Texas Tech with the amount of money they've pumped into everything. Arizona State, being a playoff team a year ago, like, I don't know. I think his list makes more sense than almost all of the other ones I've seen.
Yeah, I just think Illinois and Florida a little bit higher, too high, but I get it. I think SMU might be a little low with the amount of money that's going into that program. Tennessee dropping all the way to 24th is for one reason and one reason only, and that's losing Nico. I think that team's top 15 if he comes back.
Well, I mean, a lot of these guys, like Florida being that high and then South Carolina being that high, it's a lot of that has to do with their quarterbacks. I mean, there's so much belief in DJ Lagway and Lenora Sellers, as there should be. I mean,
and Arch Manning, know. But then there's question marks at the two teams that are ahead of Auburn in Georgia and Alabama, their quarterback position. I get Stockton played, but is he the answer? For a whole year, we'll see.
Would you rather have Stockton at like Georgia quarterback, Gunnar Stockton, or Jackson Arnold?
Jackson Arnold.
I think I would too, just from the athleticism aspect.
Me too. I think he's going to – I get it. Stockton looked good at some, but he also didn't look so good.
Yeah, and the situations are different. Like if I'm Georgia, I might rather have Stockton.
Yeah.
But just in a vacuum, I think most people would rather have Jackson.
I agree. And I would be interested to see, like, I don't remember who else pursued him besides Auburn.
Jackson?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who the other.
So fast.
Yeah. It was already a done deal. So I don't remember. Did he take a visit or was he going to take a visit somewhere?
I think it was the first weekend where you could host guys.
Yeah.
And then Auburn had like a bunch of guys commit. And of course,
I just remember there was rumors he was going to get off campus without committing and go take another visit. And people were freaking out. And
he's like, no, let's do it during because my kid had a dance recital or something.
It was a Sunday night, wasn't it? It was a Sunday night, I think he did.
No, it was a Saturday morning.
Oh, okay.
Saturday morning. I remember I was sitting at my kid's dance recital. In fact, we had it last weekend. My dad sat down and he's like, didn't somebody commit during this last time? I'm like, yep. Wow. It was Jackson Arnold. He's like, oh, that's right. So, then we went live that afternoon or whatever. But so we'll see. I mean, I think it's safe to say that other people would have wanted Jackson, but I mean, during that time, it was this ongoing debate of Jackson or what's the name of the guy that was from Duke?
Malik Murphy.
Where did he go?
Oregon State.
Interesting.
I was a Malik Murphy guy.
I was too, dude. And now I'm like, no, I'm glad that
I was high on Malik Murphy, but I was also high on Cam Brown. So there you go.
If we're going to do a daily show, we're going to be wrong a good bit for sure.
I was high on Johan Trehor or whatever that Joker's name was that played basketball.
Traore. Yeah. Chance Westry. We were all high on him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my biggest miss ever is Shane Hooks. I think that's probably my biggest miss ever.
Yeah. Mine is Cam Brown. I hope, mine's Cam.
But you never predicted 1,000-yard season from Cam.
No, I predicted him to be the leading receiver at Auburn before he's all said and done.
Nah, yeah, that was wrong. But I mean, I'm like Hollywood Hooks, 1,000 yards, let's go, man.
Yeah,
wish I would have been right, but that's okay. All right, Tahad Pettiford, he's slipping in mock drafts, and weirdly, that's good for Auburn. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. So the NBA draft lottery is behind us, which is one of the weirdest things in sports, in my opinion.
You spelled rigged wrong. You said weird, and it's rigged.
Yeah, I'm not going to say rigged, but I don't know how everybody in the NBA world just thinks you're crazy if you say it's rigged. I don't know. It's you're not questioning it at all.
I can't prove it. I know. I'm not trying to be.
You're not questioning it at all.
It's just fun to throw that out there. But I will say this: I'm a child of the '80s, and I remember when they drew the ping pong ball for Patrick Ewing. The Knicks did, and everybody, NBA executives were saying it's rigged. They wanted him in the biggest metropolis, and this whole thing with Luka and going to the Lakers. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how
the timing's weird, and then all the stuff that happened with when LeBron was in Cleveland and all that. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, but So the draft order's set now. And so now the mock drafts have a little bit more meat to them, a little bit more of like, okay, at least you know the order when guys are
Because you know who's picking where, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, once again, just the whole concept of what the NBA draft is so odd to me, but I understand why it's that way, but whatever. Okay, so you're seeing Tahad, Pettiford, and Johni Broome both consistently picked early second round.
By and I want to make sure everyone understands this. The two reputable ones in the industry that have had the best track record over the years is ESPN's and The Athletic. The Athletic has a boatload of writers that study and have scouts that work for them and all that. Those two, to me, having gone back and looked in NFL and NBA, are usually the most accurate. Okay. So those are the two of the industry that I would say I trust the most.
Yeah. And so you sent me both of those this morning, and then I think I read Bleacher Reports, and then maybe Sports Illustrated. I read a few more after you sent me those two this morning, and they were all within like 2 or 3 spots. I mean, it's all pretty close. And the big conversation is like, where does Tahad need to feel like he's going to be taken for him to stay in the draft?
And I've been told from sources that you and I trust very, very much that knows the family, top 20. And he's right not even in the top 30.
And a lot can change. Because he's got like a month until he has to withdraw. It's so much later than I thought it was. But I don't know. I don't see that happening right now.
It's not even the second round grade. People are confusing it, thinking, oh, if he slips into the first round, I mean, the first round is 30, top 30. So if he goes 28th, 29th, no, I still don't think the money's right. I think he's going to have to be a top. We were told a top 20 pick, and I don't see him moving 12 slots. His average draft position between the top 5 mock drafts is like 34. Okay, so that's nowhere near. The measurables were 6 foot, barefoot, all that kind of stuff. You know, they did all that wingspan. Right. That's indication number one. And again, I'll keep saying this, the biggest tea leaves, if you're an Auburn fan. Now, not to say this couldn't happen 3 weeks from now. And when people start jumping back out of the draft and can stay in the portal, that you can still grab kids in the portal. But Auburn has not gone after not only a point guard, but a hybrid combo guard. They haven't gone Overton can play the 2, but he can't run the point. So Auburn hasn't even tried to pursue a guy that can run the point.
That to me that is giving me more comfort in the situation than anything else.
Because as good as Magwood is, he's not coming in and starting.
Well, they haven't even been tied to any point guards. It's not even like they tried and struck out. Like that's not what this is. This is they chose to not put their attention there because we assume they have the confidence that Tahad Pettiford is coming back. I mean, even if it was a 50-50 coin flip, if you're
you better go get somebody.
If you're Bruce Pearl, you have to hedge your bet.
It's similar to what they did.
Really good about it.
It's similar to what happened with Broome last year. Everyone thought, why isn't Auburn getting a big? Why isn't Auburn getting a big? Well, they knew Broome and Cardwell were coming back all along. They never did. They never pursued a big. They pursued all guards. Kelly, Denver Jones, it was his second year. Who was besides
the Geese?
Yeah.
The Geese.
Yeah. So it was all guards. And I think this year it's been like bigs and hybrids, 3-4s, that kind of thing, 2-3s. Right. I think that also tells me they are very high on Magwood. Not only does it tell me that they think Pettiford's coming back, they're not even going to get a veteran to back up Pettiford. Right. And that tells me they like Magwood.
Yeah. So I'm not as concerned about it as I was a few weeks ago. So if I had to guess right now, Tahad Pettiford is an Auburn Tiger for another year.
It's going to be a fun team to watch. I know this last year's team was fun because of the longevity and because of the character of this team. I get it. And the personality of this team. From a talent standpoint and a physical, what they can do on the court and the dynamics of this team, it's going to be very, very fun to watch.
It's just so strange that they're all gone except for Tahad.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like the new age, the new wave.
Yeah, and new thing.
I mean, getting Hall and Murphy and, Overton, and then that's
it'll be fun.
The kid from Lincoln Memorial, Freeman. People say this is an all SEC player right now.
Yeah, he's one of the guys he's probably the one I'm most excited about. I don't think he's the best one or going to be the biggest contributor, but just as far as the upside,
6'8", can shoot it, and absolutely
athletic is all
high flying acrobat, man.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun team to watch. It's going to be an athletic team to watch. They'll be deep. And I'm looking forward to seeing the 3 freshmen, especially the kid from Huntsville that can shoot the lights out. So
right. Yeah, and just what they do with the guard spots, I do think is going to be interesting. So, but we assume Tahad will be a big part of that. If not, we'll have a very different conversation, I think, about what the upside of this team is. Like, I think you need Tahad currently to do everything that you want to achieve. But I think he'll be there. What do you think? Let us know down below. Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410, Wednesdays and Fridays here with you on Locked on Auburn, and Sunday nights on The Barn at 8 p.m. live with Kyle Rush and you.
Yes. Please like the video. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.